Hello, Harvest Youth Group. Welcome. I'm Christian Gamalian. I'm talking with co-host and your youth pastor, Matt Eldridge, and this is Quarantine Convos, a Harvest Youth Group podcast. We are still deep in the coronavirus quarantine. Today is April Fool's Day. I wish this was a joke. We are 19 days removed from school, 3 weeks since we had our last youth group, and we miss you guys. And we're ready to have more quarantine convos with some more students. So before we get into that, Matt, let's get some more love to see it and hate to see it. What do you got?
Well, this week, my you love to see it is my wife, Kat, and I. We busted out a 1,500-piece puzzle, and we spent probably at least 4 hours on Saturday doing that puzzle. Wow. And I love puzzles, so that was super fun, and we're almost done. But overall, the weekend with the wifey was awesome.
Very cool. You love to see it.
You do love to see it. Unfortunately, the you hate to see it is also connected to said puzzle. So we currently have a dog living with us named Murphy. Murphy notoriously loves eating cat poop in our backyard that he digs up and finds. Yikes. He also notoriously likes chewing on our things when he's not getting his way. So he got up on the dining room table and grabbed a puzzle piece. Cat retrieved it from his mouth. Total hero. Unfortunately, puzzle piece was covered in cat poop that was still in Murphy's mouth. So you just hate to see so many things in that scenario. I have cleaned the puzzle piece, and I don't know if we'll ever recover.
Oh, that is truly rough. The definition of rough right there.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing your love to see it and hate to see it, Matt. Puzzles are awesome.
About being honest.
This is Quarantine Convos. So, Matt, who do we have joining us today?
We've got our first ever duo. We've got a brother and a sister joining us, the Eddys, Megan and Landon. Megan is a sophomore in our group, and then Landon is a 7th grader in our group. So let's get them in here.
Welcome, Megan and Landon. How are you guys doing?
Woo!
Yeah.
Good.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on, guys.
Us.
Totally. Yes. So, as we do on this podcast, we do icebreaker questions, and it's from our friend Nels. So listen up for what Nels has to say.
Hello, everybody. It's Nels, and I have an icebreaker question for you. If you had to remove one color from the rainbow so that it no longer existed and could not be worn or seen or anything, which one would it be?
Go first.
Probably purple, because I don't really like that color.
Oh, Landon. Half my wardrobe is purple.
That was a fist bump, not a punch.
I don't know. I'd probably say purple as well, because it reminds me of, I don't know. I don't know. It reminds me of someone I don't really like, so I don't know. Probably purple as well.
Well, say goodbye to grape.
Dang. Yeah, no grapes for you.
Only green grapes. I hope you guys regret your decision.
And
just kidding.
Is there some sports team somewhere that has purple? Probably not. No.
Lakers.
The
They're
Lakers.
Gone. Oh, yeah. We'll take that.
Yeah,
that's kind of nice. And the Vikings. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Zach. Okay. So as far as some other questions, let's get started. During quarantine, what have you guys spent the most of your time doing?
You can go first.
Okay. So I've actually been making masks for people because we know some nurse friends who need them, and they have like the need for them. So I taught myself how to make masks, like using video tutorials, and so now I'm making those for people.
Wow.
That is so cool.
That's awesome, Megan. How long does it take you to make one mask?
Make one? I don't know. Probably a half hour.
Wow. So that's pretty intensive.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I don't know. I kind of do a lot at a time. Like I do each step.
Wow.
That is super awesome.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Makes me
Wow.
feel bad for all the ways I've spent my time now.
Don't even ask me.
Oh, that's so great, though. That's such a cool way to meet a need right now when you have some extra time on your hands. That's cool. How about you, Landon?
Well, I've just kind of been helping out with stuff around the house. Like, we planted some stuff in the garden. I've been doing a lot of schoolwork as well, reading and stuff, and obviously the video games.
Yeah.
The video
Playing
games.
school friends and church friends. It's pretty great. And yeah.
That's super cool. Are you a part of Matt and Brandon's like Discord group thing they're doing?
I actually don't think so.
Oh, we've got to get you on there. They've been trying to
Yeah.
get their small group. That's awesome. You should get on there with them.
Wait, what am I on? I didn't know. I've never used Discord.
Oh, I haven't either. Well, actually, no, that's not true. I have now, but that's awesome, man. That's super cool.
Nice.
Okay, let me get on to our next question. As my phone opens up. Next question. So, how have you two gotten along during quarantine? This is what the people want to know. Like, my guess is that, like, so it's just my wife and I, right? And we've been getting along pretty well. We're still working, so we get some time apart. But you guys went from, like, life apart with school, all that stuff, to now 24/7 you are together. How's that going, Megan? What is your response?
I think it's going well. I mean, we don't really get into fights often, so we're pretty.
Dang.
We're pretty.
No, like, boxing matches or anything?
Maybe a couple of days.
We have conflicting news from Landon. Cool. Landon, from your point of view?
For the most part, yes. About
Most.
99.9%. Yes.
That's pretty
You know, a couple
The
boxing
amount of
matches
germs
a
that are
day,
eliminated.
you know,
good.
but otherwise, it's pretty good.
What's something that you guys like to do together when you're spending time together at home?
Just kind of talk. We don't really do much. We just kind of like talk.
That's awesome.
We also like to go on walks together sometimes when we take
Oh, yeah.
the dog on a walk.
Nice.
We just like to talk
Talk
about
more.
things that are on our mind.
That's good. There's not a whole lot of people to talk to right now, so it's good to it's good
That's
to
great.
talk to anybody you can. That's awesome.
That's awesome. So, how has your quarantine impacted your relationship with Jesus?
Well, I think it's kind of making it stronger because this is actually kind of like a real thing you can depend on Jesus for. Like, I guess when you're kind of a kid, you kind of depend on Jesus of like, please get me this thing. Except now this is like something that's global and can actually affect you in a negative way. And so I guess it's kind of like more of that faith aspect of I'm trusting in Jesus that he'll help you through it, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. How about you, Megan?
For me, like like in quarantine, it's given me more time to think about God and like read the Bible more and just stuff like that, pray more. And then like I don't have to worry so much about other things like school.
Yeah.
It's kind of just more chill, which is good.
Yeah, it's a totally different pace, and it's probably easier in some ways, like when your life is less full, to stop and recognize, okay, Lord, I always said I didn't have time. Now I do. So just easier to stop and be with him and to open up your Bible. That's super cool.
Yeah.
What is happening?
We all know what that siren means. That
Absolutely.
siren means it is the first of our 2 halftimes. So halftime heads up is about to happen. Landon,
Alrighty.
I am going to have you go first, okay?
Ooh.
So here's how this works. The score to beat is 3. That's what Max got last week, and it was a very questionable 3. That is for sure. So you are going to have to act this out. You can't use any words. And the main thing that we should have told Max last week is if you want to skip one, just let me know and I'll skip it. If we get it right, make sure you let us know that too, because we can't always hear the ding happen through the phone. And Megan, you just get to watch your competition right now and enjoy Landon looking crazy and Christian and I doing very poorly.
Yes.
So bad at this. I'm gonna lose right away.
You ready for this, Landon?
-3. Yes.
-3. If only that were possible. All right, here we go.
Yes.
Oh, back up. I can't see you. Are you an armadillo?
Pass. That one's hard. Pass.
Okay.
Didn't pass.
Ding. We can't see your hands. Mixing, stirring, baking, cutting,
grating cheese.
Slicing. Starting a fire.
Oh, striking a match.
Yes.
Make a fire. Yeah.
Boxing?
Punching. Hitting.
Yes, boxing.
Nice.
Yeah, you said boxing already. Pass.
Real quick.
Stirring.
Chopping. Rowing. Rowing a boat.
Yeah, rowing was. Yeah, it was.
We'll give it to him. The score is
Right.
Oh man.
Canoeing.
Oh, canoeing. All right.
Man.
So Max still has this top score then with 3.
Oh,
Man.
Whoa.
Back up,
Now
I
it's
can't see ya.
All right. We'll see if you can beat your brother and maybe Max as well, Megan, in just a little bit.
Good luck. But
All right. Let's get back to some of these questions, though. For both of you guys, what is your favorite youth group memory? Or has it all been miserable?
I've been at youth group for so long, since 6th grade,
Wow.
and I have like a lot of memories. So I need to think of one.
Any that
Landon,
come
you
to
should go.
Yeah, Landon, go for it.
For me, it was probably when we did that scavenger hunt game where all of our discussion group was saran wrapped and that stuff, and we had to go around because, oh man, we've had experiences with that.
If you've
Like
lived
you're
that
tripping
before,
over
you know.
people's feet.
Yes,
Yes.
right. It's a
Uh-oh.
lot of
Point where we got out, where we all just got out of the saran wrap. We
yeah.
didn't even the game normal.
I think your group was saran wrapped pretty well too, if I remember right.
Yeah, we were.
That's awesome.
crazy.
I think mine would probably have to be like the winking game, like the wink murder game.
Mm,
And now I'm always chosen to be the murderer, and I always end up killing a lot of people. I don't know.
that was in middle school, right? A lot of the wink
Yeah,
murder
that
games.
that was middle school. Those were
That's
good
right.
times.
I
Good
remember you and Dylan Namba were really good
Oh,
at
yeah.
being the wink.
We were really good at that
Perfect.
game.
Dylan had a great. That's awesome. Those are
That's
good
so
memories. I like those too.
Nice. So back to quarantine. What has been your go-to snack during quarantine?
I mean, I don't.
Oh, Landon, go.
You know.
I sound really laggy. Landon, you can go.
Okay. Well, I don't really eat snacks a lot, but when I do, I like. Well, we recently made peanut butter cookies, so I like eating those
Ooh.
sometimes.
Mm.
Yes.
Or obviously, gotta love them Cheez-Its.
Gotta love those Cheez-Its.
Oh, gotta love them.
Landon, did you help make those cookies?
Not really.
Okay.
I was going to, and
That's
then
the
they
best.
just appeared right in front of me.
Oh yeah, it's okay. My mom's made like all my food during this quarantine, so thank you, Mom.
My favorite is eating cookies that I didn't make too. So
Boom.
well done. How about you, Megan?
For me, I eat a lot of like those like little cutie oranges. I have like a lot of those a day. And then when I'm
Awesome.
feeling fancy, I'll have a little bit of chocolate. So
Nice.
Nice.
You got the vitamin C
That's
from the
always
cuties. It's great.
yes.
Okay,
Balance.
weird question for you, Megan.
Oh. Rescinded. Meow.
Not halftime yet.
How do you take it back?
Do you ever get the fruit sweats? Do you know what that is? So maybe
No.
it's just me. But if I have a lot of citrus, so if I have like 3 or 4 cuties, my face will start to get like hot, like I'm sweating, and I like can't keep eating fruit. Does that ever happen to you, or are you immune to the fruit sweats?
I am immune to sweat.
It is
Oh.
my kryptonite.
You gotta do an
Gosh,
experiment.
I know. Let's see what fruit actually makes me react the most. That'd be
Sounds
great.
amazing.
Okay. Anyways. Oh,
What? Where'd
you
that
know
come
what that
from?
means? You do
Yeah,
now.
that's-
It is halftime heads up with Megan this time. All right,
Hey.
Megan. So the score to beat for the overall top score is 3. The score to beat for your brother is 2. So here we go. In 3, 2, 1. A
Reading.
bowl.
Mixing.
A book. Reading a book.
Flipping a page.
Turning pages.
What?
You can
Binder.
pass out.
Okay.
Pass.
Ooh.
Chopping.
Chopping
Hammering.
a tree. Hammering a nail.
Building.
Oh boy.
Building
Pass
Oh,
something. Cabin. Building a cabin.
you want to build a snowman.
Yes, of course.
Slap. Hit.
Swat.
Throw.
Swatting a fly.
Oh gosh.
Tennis. Badminton.
Football. Oh,
Pickleball.
badminton, tennis, yes. Ping pong. Punching.
Swatting
Fighting.
a fly. Hitting.
Swooping.
Swooping. Catching butterflies.
Oh no. Time's up.
Those were
Let's
good
see what
ones
some of
to
these
act
were.
out.
Oh my gosh.
Steve has gone up.
She had boomerang and making a sculpture and like all these impossible ones. That was terrible, Megan. That was
Oh
not
my
on you. That was totally on Heads Up and Christian.
Wow. It's true.
All Christian.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. I think Christian has your next question for you guys.
All right. So let's see. Landon, what have you seen that is good that has come out of quarantine so far?
Well, in general, I've just seen people helping each other a lot more and showing the love of God. Maybe they don't think they're showing it, but like in reality they are. Like I saw this YouTube video of this guy who donated a whole bunch of food to food banks and stuff to help. Shout out to Mr. Beast, by the way. And yeah, it's just been like people helping each other left and right, and it's really good.
That's so
That's
cool. man.
awesome. That has been cool to see that, especially on social media more, it being used in that way for people to connect and serve each
Yeah.
other and meet needs, and that's good stuff.
Yeah.
So for Megan, for you, this kind of steps away from quarantine stuff, but just in this last year, how have you seen your faith grow? Like, what's God been doing in you this last year?
Yeah. So, like, with my medical condition, it's been acting up this past year, and so that's kind of been helping me like trust in like Jesus more and God, and just knowing that it's under control. Like He knows how it's. I don't know. Like he just knows everything, and then
Yeah.
like friends with like different belief systems, and just learning like exactly what I believe and knowing what's different, and I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
huge. It's hard when you start coming up against that stuff of like, well, now Like, I'm coming across someone else that believes something that's similar to me but different, and so what do I actually believe about this, and
Yeah.
how can I like be sure too, which is really good.
Yeah.
But it gets messy sometimes of you actually feeling like having to sort through and like, have I always just believed this just cause, or why do I believe this?
Yeah. Yeah, and just
Totally.
trusting God in that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So Landon, what is your favorite Bible verse and why?
My favorite Bible verse is Psalm 23. It's the Lord is my shepherd; I shall not lack. He leads me beside still waters and puts me in green pastures. And I feel like that's just kind of like comforting to know that Jesus isn't just the person who made the world, but a person who made the world that loves you. I guess he didn't just like create these minions that are like, go glorify me, but he actually like cares about each and every one of us and made us unique and stuff. That's cool.
That is super cool. I was just listening to that passage the other day because with everything that's going on during this time, it made me think of like, even though I walk through hard times through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, and how huge it is to know that truth during this time when our world's so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we're moving into the section where you guys get to ask us a couple questions. So let's start off kind of with just the fun random questions. Megan, what is your fun random question for Christian and I?
What is your favorite and least favorite memory of high school?
Favorite and least favorite.
Oh, man.
I have so many least favorites. Oh, man. Christian, you want to go first?
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, other than ETB, all right, church camp was literally like the best experience ever. Other than that, I'll say like my favorite and least favorite experiences all had to do with prom. So my least favorite experiences was the terrors of finding a prom date. That was just the worst. All right, I can tell you long stories about this stuff. Okay, so that was rough. But my favorite moment, this is gonna be weird, but my junior prom, I was dancing and the song "Low" by Flo Rida came on. I can't even talk, and I got low and my pants ripped, and they ripped down the seam, and then as the night went on, it kept on ripping, and I just kept going, and it was a blast. And yeah, so at the time my pants ripped at prom, and it was I just embraced it. You know, I could have just been embarrassed. I'm like, we're all the way in Portland. Like, what can I do? You know, I got these pants. They're ripped.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's fun.
For me, my favorite memories in high school were I had a group of friends, specifically freshman and sophomore year, that we made lots of videos together, and they were just fun. Looking back now, kind of mean. We made a lot about one of our basketball coaches specifically trying to recruit us. And yeah, so not the nicest thing. Don't do that to your teachers. But that was really fun. And then we also thought we were rappers as well. And so we would make rap songs and put those out at the school as well for people to listen to. So a lot of that. Even though sometimes the content wasn't the best, the memories with those guys were super fun. Least favorite is hard. I do have a lot of least favorites in high school. The one that came to mind first was my time working at Jamba Juice. So at Jamba Juice, there was one day where my boss brought me and another girl aside, and she was like, "Who wants to do a favor for me?" And whenever this boss asked us to do a favor, we knew it was not a good thing at all. So I volunteered because this other girl was really nice and really sweet, and whatever we were going to have to do was going to be terrible. So she said, "Matt, for the rest of your shift, which was like 3 hours, let me pull up a picture. We want you to put on the banana suit and just walk around the mall." So there is me, Jamba Juice banana suit, It just so happened that a couple of my closest friends drove past as I was outside the mall in the banana suit and then took that picture. So great. But I was a junior, I think, in high school. And so as a dude in high school, as a junior, for me at least, walking around a mall with my face exposed, saying go to Jamba Juice for 3 hours was the worst thing ever for like any street cred that I had tried to formulate at all. So I ended up sitting next to a dumpster outside texting my friends for the last hour of my shift, which is also not good because I didn't listen to my boss. But Jamba Juice had some rough memories there.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful.
Great store though. Good stuff.
Yes.
This is
I had Jamba today.
Jamba. Really? Hey,
Yeah.
Thank you, Jamba. So also you guys have a question for us too regarding faith or God or scripture. Landon, what's your question for us there?
What is, to turn the tables, what is your guys' favorite Bible verse and why?
Ooh. Go for it, Christian.
All right. So my favorite Bible verse, this has been my favorite for probably like 8 years. And there's been other verses that like stick out to me. But this one's just really stuck with me because at the time it just seemed like there was a lot of hard stuff going on. And it's James 1:2. And it's, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. And that's 1, 2, and 3. And yeah, that one's just always stuck with me because it says, consider it pure joy, basically, when you're going through hard times, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. It's so that you can grow. It's so that you can be stronger. So that's something that's always stuck with me, and it's been my favorite for a long time, and we'll see if that ever changes.
Yeah, that's crazy because I remember Christian bringing up that verse in high school, actually, I think as like a sophomore or junior, and bringing it up. And it's crazy how God's just used that in your heart for a really long time. For me, it's my favorite chapter in the Bible is Hebrews 12. My favorite passage, I think, is 2 Corinthians chapter 1, starting at verse 3, where it says, praise be to the God of all comfort. Praise be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our trouble so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves have received from God. And I think that's one of those passages that for me, like I needed to be comforted, and I still continue to need to be comforted by the Lord from trouble that I've experienced, whether it's self-inflicted trouble of sin or others inflicted, but that God doesn't comfort us just so that we can feel good and feel better, but he comforts us for a purpose so that we can comfort others too who are going through hard things, that he actually uses the pain that we experience and the comfort that we receive to bless other people. So I've always loved that because it takes your eyes off yourself and puts your eyes on God and then on other people instead.
Yeah.
I realized I skipped Landon's fun question. I'm so sorry, Landon. Landon, you had a fun question for us too. What is it?
What is your favorite Disneyland ride and why?
Oh, this is a good question.
Matt loves Disneyland. I like Disneyland.
Oh my!
I have ridden the Tower of Terror the most. That's for sure. But if lines are not an issue, because there was a few times where I'm like, oh my gosh, Tower of Terror doesn't have that long of a line, so I just kept riding it. But if lines were not an issue, I think Space Mountain would definitely be my favorite.
Yes,
Space Mountain's a
indeed.
good one. So for me, it's really because of one memory on this ride, even though I do like this ride, period. I love Splash Mountain. For one, I love Splash Mountain because it's so fun and cheery, like throughout the ride as you're going in. I love it so much. And then one time, it was me and my friends for our senior trip. We did a road trip to California and did Disneyland. And it was, I think, our last night or second to last night in the park. And before we went back to the hotel, so like 11:30 at night, we were like, let's do Splash Mountain one more time. And we had ridden it a ton of times, hadn't gotten that wet. But this time I was in the front, and I have never gotten so soaked in my life. And we were just like screaming, like how bad we got soaked, and laughing so hard that we sloshed all the way back to our hotel. And I would just forever love that ride because of that.
That sounds fun.
Oh yeah, Splash Mountain. It just, when you see people get destroyed by water, there's few things that are better in this life. It's just so good. All right, Megan, so bring us home. What's your last question for Christian and I?
All right, my last question is, how are you a light to those who don't know Jesus?
Good question. Christian?
I'll start us again. So that is a big one. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of an all-encompassing question as a Christian. So I just want to bring up a quote that I heard this last week that I thought was pretty cool. I heard someone say that movie trailers are like, whether or not a movie trailer is good could make or break whether or not you go see the movie. And they said that that's kind of how it is with us and Jesus, where if someone looks at us and they don't like what they see, you know, they're probably not going to, I'm not saying they're probably not going to, but they might be more disinterested in learning more about Jesus. And I mean, that's true for me as far as movie trailers go, that's for sure. So for me, like, I try to be more and more like Jesus, just like I want a trailer to emulate what's good about a movie. I try to be present. I try to do my best to be approachable. I try to make myself available, and I try to remind myself not to like hold on to things, but to be willing to sacrifice for others. So to me, I read verses like 2 Timothy 2:24, and it says, "And the Lord's servant must not be quarrelsome, but must be kind to everyone, able to teach, not resentful. Opponents must be gently instructed in the hope that God will grant them repentance, leading them to a knowledge of the truth." So it's kind of saying, like, it's not on us to be argumentative necessarily, you know? So like, while you can easily like justify looking at the world as a spiritual war, because it is, like, I try to remember that Jesus has already claimed victory, and I have nothing to prove personally. So I try not to get offended by things. I try not to get in battles with people, you know. And you know, it's a case-by-case basis, but I know the truth, and I just need to love others and show them the peace and love that Jesus brings. So to me, that's what it's like, where it's kind of all-encompassing, but it's like, okay, how can I love others today? How can I be available and present today?
That's super good. Yeah, for me, I think that it kind of goes back to that 2 Corinthians passage I shared too, of I have seen more often than not in my life when I actually stop and I am like intentional and aware of my friends around me who aren't following Jesus and care about their lives and what they're going through. I see that Jesus has had me go through something to where I can empathize with them to some degree and can relate to them and also point them, though, ultimately to Him and what they're going through. So a big thing I try to do to be light is be a good listener and actually hear people and hear their story and why they're at where they're at. I think it's really easy for Christians sometimes to just talk at people, but not really care for people. And I think of the passage that talks about making the most of every opportunity with people. And I think a lot of times we'll actually see the opportunities that we have to talk about Jesus or to point people to Scripture or to point to what God has done in our lives when we stop and listen and hear what's going on in someone else's life, instead of trying to force opportunities to come out of nothing. So that's just something I've tried to be better at, but it's still hard to be bold sometimes and go out of my own comfort zone. I still get nervous and afraid, and even though I'm a pastor, I'm like, what if they reject me or think I'm stupid or just think I'm a pastor doing my job, you know? So I think it's important to be a friend and to be someone that really cares for them too.
Yeah.
Great questions, guys.
Yeah.
Totally. All right, so to close us out, let's get some one claps in. This is something that we do to celebrate something. So we'll start out just Matt and I. We'll celebrate something from this episode that we liked, and then you guys can shout out whatever you want to give a one clap to. So I'll start us off, and I would like to give a one clap to Landon for just sharing. I don't know. He just kind of got real with, as a kid, I pretty much just prayed for things that I want. Like, I want this, and life's hard because I don't have this thing, and how now it's just very real that there's this worldwide phenomenon going on that's, very hard, very difficult, and it's just a real issue that we have to go to God to. So I thought that was really cool of you to bring up, Landon. So one clap for Landon. Anyone, maybe?
It's lagging
somewhere in there.
Awesome. I will do one clap for Megan. And Megan, I thought it was super cool that you shared just about your last year and just with what's going on medically, that's just been a new way that you've had to trust God and not something that you have chosen either, right? Like, this wasn't something that you're like, you know what, I'm going to trust God in this new way by medically just being off and not as healthy as I could be, but that this is something that just dropped in your lap and you're like, okay, Lord, what does it look like to follow you in this? And I think more people need to hear stories like that of people going through hard things and going through things that are out of their control, like a lot of us are going through right now, and looking to God in it, wrestling with him in it, and seeking out what he has for us in it. So one clap for Megan. What about you guys? Megan, what's your one clap?
Ooh, my one clap would probably be when we were just talking about how we can be a light to others. And like, even though like there are all those people who don't know Jesus or God's love. And so it's like we need to show them like what it's like. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right, here we go. One clap.
I'm
trying to clap. Oh no.
And last but not least, Landon.
So my one claps are to Sam and Porter for being very good friends and helping me, and with Porter carrying me on Fortnite. You gotta love it.
You love to see it.
You love to see it.
So good.
And of course, it wouldn't be a shout out without God. So shout out to God for being very good to us. And yeah.
Awesome. So one clap for Sam, Porter, and God.
Yes.
That was a little better.
Oh, nice.
Good job, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for taking some time to be with us on the podcast. We miss being with you guys in person, both on Wednesdays, Sundays, any day, really, we would take at this point. But yeah, keep loving each other. Keep spending time with the Lord. And I bet it will be encouraging for other students to get to hear how your time has been in quarantine so far. So thank you guys. And until next time that we check in with you.